Psychobabble, oh, psychobabble. United the sea, now it's fading to black. I threw it away, 'cause I don't want it back. I don't care when it's all psychobabble
Well, I didn't expect too many people to be in here on a midday live randomly out of the blue, something that I very rarely ever do. And I haven't uploaded in quite a long time. It's been quite a while. So I figured there'd probably be very few, but none. That's a little strange. Looks like we got one now. Kind of want to wait till some more people get in here. It's odd to, YouTube's algorithm has just been a mess lately, in my opinion. A lot of channels that I subscribe to, I go to it because I haven't seen it in a while, and they've been putting out all kind of videos that I haven't seen. And so that combined with not uploading in a heck of a long time, I don't expect too many people to be in here on a midday live, but having none just proves my point that YouTube's algorithm is a mess. It's just not sending out notifications like it used to. Anyway, so there'll be a lot of people that'll probably catch this on the replay. Doesn't matter to me much. I just wanted to, talk about this stuff a little bit and, give my thoughts on what's going on. I've been a little too busy and preoccupied to care much about, YouTube. Just a lot going on. And I've had a huge change in a medication I have to take right after supper, and it just makes me feel like crap. But I got to take it. So I figured I'd do a midday live out of the blue here and just get some things off my chest. And, if everybody's got to catch it on the replay, so be it. But I know I'm not alone in noticing how bad YouTube's algorithms have gotten. I mean, it is, this is not a green screen, buddy. No, it's not. It's my shop. Good Lord, dude. That a green screen? You knucklehead. Whew. Anyway, so I don't know if I ought to. Yeah, I'll start with how I feel about the Charlie Kirk situation, and then I will talk about the full circle hypocrisy from Crack Squad, which is just really something, especially the cowards that aren't willing to admit. I called it 3 years ago. Spot on, actually. In the order I predicted it. But anyway, moving on to Upchurch, or Kirk, Charlie Kirk. I'm not buying the narrative, and I'm not heading down the Candace Owens rabbit hole either. She nor Tucker Carlson is quite as uber intelligent as some of us may have thought at times. They have been known to be wrong. And although I believe what they're saying, that Charlie was under a lot of pressure, from big money donors. Well, that's a common thing. I mean, anytime you're in the political game, there are going to be forces pulling you all different directions. And I do believe that part of what Candace says and Tucker says, that he was being pressured that way. But does that have anything to do with what happened to him at that college? And I say no, not at all. This was Antifa. And this is my opinion only. Okay. It was Antifa. And I believe that Antifa was promised a pretty big windfall of cash if they could pull this off. And probably a lot of what I'm going to say, you guys have already heard anyway. But you know, the guy they have in jail, Taylor Robinson, he is the one who pulled the trigger. It is not difficult to make a 200-yard shot with a scope rifle. I was hitting 200-yard targets when I was 10 years old. I haven't held a rifle in years, and I bet you any amount of money I could pick up a rifle I've never held before with a scope on it and hit a 200-yard target in 1 or 2 shots. So I'm just, man, the people that just, they trick themselves into believing something without any facts to back it up. And if you've never, ever in your life did any target shooting, then you shouldn't even have an opinion on it, because your opinion is going to be wrong. It's just going to be wrong. It's not hard to hit a 200-yard target with a scope rifle, especially a bolt action. It just didn't. But what I'm not buying is that he did this without his roommate knowing it and all this nonsense. The old guy that they arrested first, in on it. The little pack of trannies that were up in the right-hand corner there, hooting and hollering and getting everybody to look at them and pay attention to them, in on it. The dude that turned around and went, you know, while everybody else was hitting the deck, in on it. The kid asking the question, in on it. The group that met at Taylor and his furry boyfriend's apartment, in on it. And I think we'll find that out. I think the FBI is all over it, and justice will be done. Now, some of the reasons I don't believe, and I want to tell you, you know, I'm not one of these guys that thinks I know everything, but my gut has always served me well. And that's the reason I was able to predict Upchurch's downfall almost to the letter. I predicted that he would get sued. I predicted that his algorithm would be destroyed. All of that. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but I've always been a good judge of character. And I can sense a dark aura like there's nobody's business. And my gut tells me that no, his all these people were in on it. His roommate is the one that radicalized him. You know, his own family said that you know, speaking of Taylor's roommate, the furry, his own family said that he had gotten so, like, just out of his head in political hate that they had to kick him out and, like, make him stay away, and they couldn't even have him around because he was always causing fights over it. So the chances that he wouldn't know are slim to none. But there's a lot of things that we've been told by the governor that just aren't true. And I just kind of want to go down the list. Now, some of you guys that say he didn't have the gun when he jumped off the roof, yes, he did. And go watch, is it Gary Hughes, the true crime podcaster? He proves that beyond any shadow of a doubt. He proves that he walked there with the gun in his pant leg. He proves that what he done when he jumped off the roof was he tucked the gun down his back with the butt of the gun being level with his butt and the barrel sticking slightly above his head, and he put his backpack on over it. And you can clearly see that in the video that Gary Hughes broke down. And so that's been debunked. He absolutely did have the gun when he jumped off that roof. They've got video of him arriving with it in his pant leg, limping because he couldn't bend his leg because the gun was clear down his pant leg. But the rest of it that we're hearing from the governor, I got big questions. Big questions. In fact, I'm willing to offer some kind of a reward for anybody that can show me an example of a 20-year-old or 22 or 23-year-old male referring to his Dodge Challenger as a vehicle. I got to go get to my vehicle. When have you ever heard a young person speak that way? I got to make it to my vehicle. And why would you just openly, boldly text basically a confession from your phone if you were planning on getting away with this? And so those texts, and then no timestamps on the text messages, which is, I went and I looked at, I tried to look up a lot of other examples where the police were showing text messages associated to a crime case. And in every instance I could find, they were time-stamped. And you would literally have to purposely remove those timestamps. So I'm not buying that those were live text. I think that stuff was all pre-written. Either they did it themselves, which I highly doubt because of the verbiage. It looks to me as though those texts were generated by an AI bot. It's the type of language you would see an AI bot use, way too proper. You know, people say that these AI bots have gotten so advanced, and I can tell you an AI text in a minute because it lacks contextual character, because all it can do is find words in the English language to say what it wants to say. There's no personality to an AI text. And so you can, and that those text messages between him and the furry smell like AI to me. Words like vehicle. I have to make it back to my vehicle. I had to change my outfit. When have you ever heard a 22-year-old male say, I had to change my outfit? Okay. And stuff like sweep the area, drop zone, all this nonsense. So I even did a little of experimenting, asking AI to write a similar story, and it surprisingly had very similar verbiage. It did use vehicle. It did. And It didn't say outfit though, but it did use a lot of like proper English where a young person wouldn't. Anyway, moving on from the text, that I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. No way. No timestamp, improper verbiage are very risky thing to do. Be texting from your phone when you got to know they're probably going to subpoena the towers and all. I mean, it's just, my goodness. So just not buying it. My opinion on those text messages is this. They are a diversion in case things went wrong. His roommate wouldn't get charged, and the rest of Antifa punks that were in on it wouldn't get charged. And that's the big diversion. That's why the kid that asked the question started to act, spoke like he was this proper moderate. And the dude that jumped up and cheered acted like he was, he could predict that it wasn't a mass shooter, so he wasn't worried about getting shot himself. I mean, come on. If you're standing in a crowd of people, you hear gunfire, and everybody's hitting the deck, the last thing you're going to do is turn around and jump up and put your hands in the air like this towards where the shot came from. Come on, man. Give me a break. And I don't know how many of you noticed, but I want you to just take a look. The kid that asked the question, he did an interview on the local Channel 5 affiliate. Go watch that interview. And I want you to look on the left-hand side of the screen behind the plant. There's an Antifa flag hanging on the wall. An Antifa flag hanging on the wall. And the the chances of him asking that particular question at the same time some unassociated assassin is going to act is slim to none. The old guy they arrested, again, you hear a gunshot, you see somebody get hit, everybody's hitting the deck, and you don't hit the deck? You say, shoot me, shoot me. Diversion, so he could get away. This stuff was all pre-planned a month prior when they all had the big meeting at the furry's apartment. I would argue, and I'm not sure how far back some of these security cameras go, but I will bet you money if they could get a hold of those, they would find, I'll bet you that whole bunch went to the college and like walked that whole thing, and you'd probably have them on camera like pointing and looking and figuring this all out. People in the audience say there was a little pack of like LGBTQ crowd that was kept like saying bombastic stuff and getting people to look at them over to the right. So those people were in on it. And one of the things that the kid said, and if you listen to his interview, again, it was on Channel 5. And I just want to say hello to everybody that's getting in here. Sorry about the Midday Live without a very long notice. I just haven't been able to do much in the evening. But if you listen to that kid's interview on Channel 5, one of the other things he says is, well, the rights had their fair share of political violence. Paul Pelosi, Gabby Gifford, and that Josh Shapiro. None of those were political violence. Not one single one of those is political violence. And it's only the extreme left that continue to label the Paul Pelosi event some crazy MAGA, when in reality, that guy was a male prostitute who had had a long running relationship with Paul Pelosi, neighbors, friends of the guy that assaulted him, said no, they knew each other. And I suspect they got in an argument over money, and that's when that all happened. But it had nothing to do with politics. It had to do with a personal beef. The Gabby Gifford incident, that guy was a stalker. He was infatuated with her. So that wasn't anything political. And the Josh Pelosi, not even. So I don't understand how you can think that this moderate kid would have an Antifa flag hanging on his wall and believe the fake news, extreme left nonsense about those events. Those are things you hear in far left echo chambers. And the guy that jumped up and turned around, cheered and mouthed, hell yeah. That guy did this video. The first one he did, he read it all. And then when he got called on that by everybody because it was just ridiculous and unbelievable, well, then he tried to act like he was just crushed that this would happen, and it was so fake. It was like some B-movie actor trying to audition for something. It was terrible, just terrible. He did a really poor job pretending to be a right-winger and Charlie Kirk supporter. It came across as fake and scripted because it was. And the old guy found to have CP on his phone. These things just don't add up, right? I mean, we all have common sense. And I think what we're going to find out is that it was a whole little Antifa sect. And they planned this. They planned this from the time it was announced that Charlie was going to speak there. The planning began. And then you ask yourself, okay, why would this seemingly, normal young man with a bright future, a fairly well-to-do family, college tuition paid, living rent-free, be filled with so much political hate? It's like I tried to think when I was 20, 22 years old. And when I was that age, we were just a few years out of the Vietnam War. And there was a big protest going on against the government for spraying marijuana fields with a weed killer called paraquat, and it was making people sick. And that was about the only political thing that I even really knew about at that age. I mean, I just wasn't connected to politics at all. And so you think, so why would this kid, with this seemingly bright future, be so invested? And it's because I feel the far left echo chambers that have been created. Twitter was starting to become one just before Elon Musk bought it. If you went on to Reddit and you went to our politics and you even mention something conservative, you'd be banned so quick it'd make your head spin. And to tell you how left-leaning Reddit has become, because they have allowed these recluse, shut-in college students, teenagers be moderators. And they're incredibly biased and incredibly immature. I was very popular in a group on Reddit that was for old abandoned places, because I had did this whole video vlog years ago of all the abandoned schools in this area and had pictures of them and videos of them. And then I started doing like pictures of abandoned houses. I had a really high-end camera and the photos were very well received. I was one of the more popular people in the group. And it was called abandoned porn, or abandoned porn. And it was like abandoned houses, abandoned buildings, whatever. In this area where I lived, middle of the Ohio Valley Rust Belt, abandoned stuff everywhere. So I posted a photo one day of a really cool old abandoned house. And in the back of the shot, way up a hillside, in the window of another house, you could see about half of a Confederate flag. And they banned me from the group for that photo. Now, my point in telling you this is Reddit is a one-sided echo chamber. And it's so bad there. The echo chamber is so bad with those kids there. They still believe, many of them still believe, that Kyle Rittenhouse chased down 3 black men and shot them in the back. Even though there's a video of him running away for his life from 3 white dudes, and one of them saying, "I'm going to R you and delete you." And then, he gets hit in the head with a skateboard. Even though those videos exist, even though he was found not guilty, they still, because they've never left those echo chambers, they've never sought any information outside of those echo chambers, they still believe that. They believe that the person that attacked Paul Pelosi was some MAGA dude, when everyone knows it was a gay male prostitute. His own roommate is the one that turned him in. So Gabby Gifford, they think that was political, and it was a guy that was infatuated with her and been stalking her for years. So my point in telling you this is, if everything these kids have been told about conservatives and Charlie Kirk, if they believe everything they've been told about conservatives and Charlie Kirk, then you can almost understand why they would do this. If all the stuff they were told was true, then my gosh, yeah. Why wouldn't you want to delete somebody like that, right? They've been told that conservatives are Nazis. They've been told conservatives are fascists. They've been told that this. I saw this list on Reddit claiming all these things that Charlie Kirk had said. And it was in one of the more popular groups on there, Our Politics. And the stuff on this list, there wasn't one thing that was true. Not one single thing they believe and they were told about Charlie Kirk is true. All of it is gross exaggerations, out of context quotes, and flat out lies. These people still believe that Donald Trump was talking about white supremacists when he said there were good people on both sides during that statue protest in Charlottesville. And that isn't what he said. What he said was there were good people on both sides. And I'm not talking about the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis. I'm talking about the people that were protesting wanting to keep the statue and people that were wanting to tear it down. There were good people on both sides of that debate, which is very true. Well, of course, the media took that out of context and made it sound like he said something he didn't. Well, these people still believe that, even though it's been debunked, for a long time now. So knowing that these kids are getting no outside information because they're not going to go, these kids aren't going to go watch Fox News. They're not going to go watch any conservative commentator. They're only going to listen to like-minded people. And they've been fed lie after lie after lie, and they've never tried to did any research of their own to try and debunk it. They've been in these echo chambers, and they really believe that Charlie Kirk said all these monstrous things that he never said. There are more video clips of Charlie Kirk showing compassion for trans people than there are of ones him giving any criticism at all. And I mean, these people had a list saying he said that all trans should be trampled or stoned. He's just the crappiest. He said something about, they tried to claim that, well, I even remember that debate where he was talking about DEI, and he had said, prior to DEI, I would have gotten on an airplane and not gave a thought to who was flying it. But after DEI, you kind of had that little thought in the back of your head, is this person flying the plane because they met a hiring quota? Or are they flying the plane because they were the most qualified? And as we know, 3 of the major airlines admitted that they were seeking hiring ratios for people of color and women, whether it be India, African American, whatever. They wanted their pilots to be 50% of a minority. So that means they had to lower their standards. And in fact, there were lawsuits about it. But that's what Charlie Kirk said. He said, if I get on an airplane now and I see a black pilot, I have to question, is he there because he was the best person to fly the plane, or is he there because he was part of this hiring quota to get X number of minorities? And they had on this list that he said black people aren't capable of flying airplanes. And it just goes on and on and on. And I mean, I could talk on this subject for 15 minutes. This list was just full of just gross exaggerations and flat out lies. And it was literally on the front page of Reddit for months. For months was on the front page. So if you didn't know me and you didn't know anything about me at all, right? You'd never heard me speak, nothing. And I start working where you work at, for example. And everyone that works there says, man, that guy will poison your food. He's done it before. He said he would. You would likely believe it. So once you understand that these kids have been radicalized using that very tactic, they're in an echo chamber. They get no opposing point of view at all. And these fake news media stories just continue. We just saw Jimmy Kimmel get fired for doing what he's done for 10 years. And that is absolutely flat out lie to his audience. And it's been going on for a long time. And it's partly our fault for never, and I get it. You know, we're busy. We're busy with life. We have families. We have jobs. We have mortgages. We have responsibility. We can't go to protests. We can't go to a protest in the middle of the week. We can't afford to get arrested. But we haven't raised enough cane to put a stop to all this fake news and dehumanization of conservatives, or even somebody that's a moderate that voted for Trump. The demonization has got to stop. And I think probably the first place we need to start is something's got to be done about these echo chambers. It might not be as bad, and you know, I thought I'd never hear myself say this, but maybe community notes should be required for any social media network to exist. Maybe we need, you know, you have to apply for you have to apply for a license to go hunting. You have to apply for a license to drive a car. You have to apply for a license to sell Kool-Aid at a fair. You got to have a permit. Well, maybe social media networks and podcasts need to have to buy permits. And with those permits comes some requirements. And one of the requirements should be you're not allowed to knowingly lie to your audience about political news. And if you do, there's going to be consequences for it. You can talk about all the political news you want. You can share your political opinion from here to kingdom come. But if you knowingly lie to your audience, then maybe your permit will be pulled. Or maybe you'll be fined. I think that's where we need to start. That doesn't do anything to free speech. Free speech stays intact. You're free to say whatever you want. You just can't do something that's illegal. Your free speech can't break the law. And because I feel like if Reddit and Blue Sky had community notes with links to the real story, maybe this kid wouldn't be so radicalized. Maybe there wouldn't be all this hate. Most of what, and I think you would find that most of the things these people hate about Trump, it's the same story, man. They hate him for things that are untrue. They hate him because they think he said the white supremacists in Charlottesville were good people. And he never said that. But they've been told that he did, and they believe it. And they've never been told otherwise. Had posts like that been followed with a community note saying, here's the real story, a lot of them wouldn't believe these lies. It is shocking to me how you can call someone a fascist while you're threatening to delete someone for their political beliefs. It's just, how? You're being the fascist when you say that. That's, fascism is, you force your beliefs onto everybody and enforce them with government law. So how they can hold a protest sign in some cases, set stuff on fire and vandalize police cars and spray paint, and then call the current administration fascist. Well, if they were fascists, you wouldn't be holding them signs. It's crazy to me, man. These kids are so misguided. They've been lied to so much. And a lot of it is partly to blame for the coddling of, gender dysphoria. When conservatives said, okay, we'll be as tolerant as possible and we'll agree to gay marriage, and you would have thought that would have been good enough. I knew the day they did it, it would just lead to more. But once that door was swung open, the demands would never stop. And again, my gut was right. And so we went from, we just want to live with the person that we, love, like anybody else. Well, that's not true. Because once we said okay to that, then it was, yeah, I want to dress like a girl and go in the girls' bathroom, go in the girls' locker room and play sports against girls and steal championships away from girls that worked their whole life to get there. I want to force you to go against science and pretend that the things I say are real, and I want to force you to use ridiculous pronouns. Well, that's a whole lot more than, gee, we just want to live with the person we love and not be bothered. I mean, we're miles away from that now. And I think these trans radicals have damaged the LGBTQ movement for equality badly. A lot of people resent ever being tolerant to it now. And it ain't our fault. It's their fault for adopting every radical group that agreed with them on one thing. And the same can be said for Democrats who got so desperate for votes that they would endorse anyone that disagreed with the conservative candidate, regardless of how radical. Next thing you know, we're seeing people be arrested for standing in their front yard protecting their home against an angry mob that had been setting fires and destroying and looting for 2 full days, that had just crashed through a gate and was threatening to delete their dog and loot their house. And they very peacefully stood in their front yard armed, saying, no, you won't. And they got arrested. And we were silent. We didn't come to their aid. If the shoe would have been on the other foot, and that would have happened to some Democrats, you would have seen protests, you would have seen riots, you would have seen a reaction. So part of it's our fault for letting it get this far. We've just sat by and allowed these echo chambers to exist. We have allowed them to push us around. We've knelt to 1% of the population's demands that go against biological science. So it's not how did these kids become radicalized. It's like it's why did it happen? And it happened because we didn't stand our ground. We didn't make enough noise. Watching the left riot time and time again, and nothing ever happened. On live TV, you watch stores be looted. No arrest. And then a few conservatives, which I would argue were probably FBI agents, bust a window at the State House. Several people go to prison for walking through a building. There were people that spent 3 years in jail because they walked through after being motioned through on January 6th. And we didn't do nothing. We let it happen. Even Trump let it happen. And so, yeah, we're partly to blame for where this has gotten. And I don't think that I don't think no amount of arrest or afterthought is going to do anything until these echo chambers are at least forced to use community notes. Our politics on Reddit is out of control. It is a one-sided, grossly exaggerated fairy tale bunch of nonsense, teaching young people to hate conservatives. And like I said before, if everything they've been told was true, then of course you would hate somebody like that, right? You would hate somebody if they were just like Hitler. You would hate somebody if they were a admitted Nazi. You would hate somebody if they said they wanted to stone all gay people to death. And you'd hate them for a good reason. So, in part, it's really not these young kids' fault, really. They've been lied to, they've been tricked, they've been hornswoggled, they've been brainwashed and radicalized. And I hope there's some common sense. I was a bit concerned when Kash Patel was talking about what they're investigating so far, and he said something along the lines that, well, yeah, Discord's this thing where kids can talk private, like it was something like he'd never heard of. And it troubles me a little bit that, you know, just the leadership of the FBI should really be in touch with how kids communicate. And Discord's been around for a long time. You know, how can you be that removed and be effective? I just think they should have younger people there that are keeping them up to date on what young people are doing and where they're going and how they're communicating and all that. It's really crazy to me that why, if I was the FBI, for example, and I was, and you know, a high-profile political figure was assassinated on a live stream in front of millions, and I was going to go to TMZ to get the Discord channel cache, and they tell me, oh, we looked at it, nothing wrong with it, we deleted it. Immediately, I would have seized their servers. I would have looked at them and I said, well, you got two choices. You can give us a fresh backup, because we know those servers do backups every night, or we'll just take the servers and we'll get the backups off of them ourselves. Which one do you want? Why they would just walk away from, oh, we deleted it. Crazy. So just wanted to give you some food for thought on that. Don't get caught up in all these shoestring conspiracies. Candace Owens has been wrong about a lot of things. Although I agree with her on a lot of things, she's wrong about a lot of things too. Candace Owens lost a lot of credibility with me when she quickly jumped to smear Steven Crowder because his soon-to-be ex-wife had a 30-second clip of him being a little shitty to her, insinuating that he was some kind of a bad husband and abuser. When she, of all people, ought to know divorces are vicious and there's two sides to every story. But boy, she didn't waste no time at all running Steven Crowder's name in the mud over a 30-second video clip of an argument, a verbal argument. No context, no anything. So she lost a lot of credibility when she did that, and then was a little hard to swallow those long-winded sponsor spots in the middle of her conspiracy live stream. So I'm just going to close on that by saying, yeah, I believe that Charlie was being pressured to simp for Israel. Well, that's true. I'm sure, absolutely sure donors were pressuring him. I'm sure there were many that said, oh man, I'll give you a donation if you XYZ. That's not unusual. That would happen. But I don't think any of that is associated with what Antifa did to Charlie Kirk. I think they're two completely separate things. And so that's my thoughts on that. Don't buy all these wild conspiracies that there was a different shooter. You can't make a 200-yard shot. He didn't have the gun. All those things have been debunked. They have video of the kid coming, limping with the gun in his pants. They have video of him walking up the steps the day before. They have video of him walking up the steps the day of. They have, I mean, it's just, it was him. It was him. Period. Everything else, I think they did a good job of creating a diversion for the police to run down some rabbit holes that go nowhere. And I think they did that fairly cleverly. But you make no mistake, the kid that asked the question, Antifa, was in on it. The kid that jumped up, got his hands in the air, screaming, hell yeah, Antifa, was in on it. His roommate, Antifa, was in on it. The group that met at his house, Antifa, and they were in on it. The text messages between those two they generated those using an AI bot. This is my opinion. And in case things went wrong, so that they could take the heat off of his roommate and the rest of the group. If you go watch the videos from those two guys. Let me tell you the ones you want, a guy you probably would get the best analysis from is he's called the body language guy. The body language guy. Just go watch his take on those two guys. And you'll see very quickly they were in on it. The whole thing's a big smokescreen diversion. Now, there are just two things that have me confused. The photo of the gun that surprisingly the New York Times gets all this stuff first, and that's a whole nother story. But the photo of the gun when the police found it, it's daylight, but it's in a box, and they're shining a flashlight on it. Where'd the box come from? You telling me that kid had the box to the gun with him? Where was he hiding that? The box is bigger than the gun. Yet they got this gun sitting on the ground in the same kind of box one of ours came in. What? Now, go look at it. It's sitting in a box, the one like it would come in when it's new. In the woods, sitting in a box in the middle of the day, and they're shining a flashlight on it. That's odd to me. So if there's any conspiracy at all, that's one, right? Are they using, was that some stock photo of a gun that looked just like his, or the very gun when they found it? And if it is the very gun when they found it, where the hell did the box come from? And why are we shining a, okay, I see somebody in the text is saying that's not the gun. Okay, well, good. That settles that. Secondly, so apparently that's some stock photo. Is that what you're saying? But they just said it's a gun like this one. And then, okay, great. So Chris Turner says it was a stock photo. So that explains that. That puts that to bed. And then of course, the verbiage in those texts just don't add up, man. And that text was generated by an AI bot. I'll bet you money. Other than that, they're on to it. They've got the right guy arrested, and I suspect that the roommate will be arrested. This is another thing. It's like, I don't get it. Why would they have not just went ahead and arrested the roommate, detained him, right? You can cooperate while you're detained. The same way you can cooperate when you're undetained. But I think he should have been detained at the very least. And that apartment should have been searched. The computers and all the electronic devices should have been seized. They should have immediately looked for backups that were done days prior, all that sort of stuff. You could have got some of their chat in Discord from their own cache. So yeah, I don't understand that. It just seemed all too laxed, like I would think that if I did something like that, they would come to my house, kick my door in, arrest my wife, and search my house. Wouldn't they? Really? I mean, wouldn't they? So, just not buying it, man. Not buying it. There's something there that just ain't right with that. I don't know if he agreed. Maybe they said, if you fully cooperate, we won't, but I still think they should have. Okay. They probably should have. But beyond that, there's no big, wild, underlying two different shooters, Israel. No. That kid was radicalized by the echo chambers. He was a staunch Redditor. And his roommate's own family said he was filled with so much political hate that they had to just like wash their hands of him. So that kid was radicalized by his roommate and by the echo chambers. And he believed that Charlie was a Nazi. He believed that Charlie said all gay people should be stoned to death. He believed these things because he'd never been told otherwise. And I think the solution is starting right with the echo chambers. I think we need to seriously look at permits being required to, if you're going to disseminate political news to your audience, then I think you need a permit to do it. And that permit would come with requirements such as if you knowingly lie, your permit may be pulled. If you knowingly lie, you know, there's consequences for that. And that you have to use community notes. So if you're going to talk about a political topic, then you have to include the official news story from both sides of the aisle or something. Because when you've got kids out there that still believe this huge lie about Kyle Rittenhouse, and I'm not talking about a few people, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of people still think that Kyle Rittenhouse somehow did something wrong. Yeah, I agree. Twisted Tennessee says there'd be no news outlets left. Well, again, maybe that would solve that problem, right? You just can't knowingly lie. You can say, this is my opinion, and then say whatever the hell you want. But you can't be like Jimmy Kimmel and walk out on the Tonight Show stage and go, oh, he was far-right MAGA. After the news all day long had already said he was living with his a gay trans person and was a radical leftist. You can't walk out on stage and tell thousands of people, oh, he was MAGA. You can say, it's my opinion that he may have been. But that ain't what he did. And, you know, you're just going to see more kids getting radicalized if the fake news isn't brought under some kind of control, especially surrounding politics. And yeah, the right has their fair share of it. Absolutely. No question about it. Now, moving forward to Upchurch. Told you so. Crack Squad. I'm telling you guys something, and I want you to hear me now. I'm extremely concerned for Beth. And I'll tell you why. She's the only punching bag he has left. All of his anger will be channeled at her. He has sold her car. She probably has no bank account of her own. She has no income of her own. So she probably feels trapped. And who wouldn't want to, live with a rich guy, right? But we all know there's an explosive temper. And now she's the only one. I mean, I don't know if any of you have seen, I guess I'll, the new house that Upchurch bought. And I think it's laughable that Crack Squad thinks, well, since he bought a new expensive house, he's not on drugs. That's ridiculous. You can blow your money sober just the same as you can stoned. That doesn't prove anything. That where he bought a house at, it's very easy to find. Very easy to find. Okay. If you watch one of his videos and you look at that very unique front door, okay, that house has a very, very unique front door on it. Very unique. All you got to do is go to Zillow, search for houses sold in the last 6 months in Cheatham County, and you'll see that front door. You'll find that front door. Like narrow your search to 1 million to 3 million. 1 million being the cheapest, 3 million being the most expensive, sold in the last 6 months in Cheatham County. And you'll see that front door, and then you'll see where he lives. And my point in this is, where he's living at now, he can't go outside and take a baseball bat and beat shit out of 6 cars. Cops will come. And so Beth's the only one around that he can take it out on. And I'm telling you guys something. If you have not seen opiate rage, then opiate rage is bad. It escalates and it gets very explosive very quick. I've seen it too many times. And if anybody still is under some delusional belief that he isn't on something, man, you're just not playing with a full deck. You're just not engaged with reality. You're not willing to accept things for what they are. That dude is gone, man. It's ruined his voice, just like I said it would. It's completely destroyed his creativity, just like I said it would. It's ruined his algorithm, just like I said it would. It's ruined his reputation, just like I said it would. It's destroyed his credibility, just like I said it would. And he has turned on every single person, just like I said he would. 3 years ago, I sat here on this microphone and I said to Deerdorf, what are you going to do when you're the next one? They'll do it with you. They'll do it to you. And I get Cousin Billy and Deerdorf. I understand. I know what they went through, and I can tell you what they went through without even being there. It was a situation where he worked for them. They worked for him, but there was no work schedule. There was no projects. There was no expectation. It was just wait until something isn't done and then bitch about it. Or another thing that people addicted to opioids do is they isolate. So they would probably show up to work and he wouldn't even come out and talk to them. So what are they supposed to do? Just walk around and go, wonder what we can do today. Oh, well, he said the car needed fixed. Okay, well, it needs a new ignition coil. They're $200. Text, hey, Ryan, need a coil for... No response. No reply. No reply. No reply. What's he supposed to do? Go buy it out of his own pocket? And I'll bet you that's what they dealt with time and time and time again. Right? No leadership, no plan, nothing was laid out. Nothing was, there were no expectations, only bitching when magically it wasn't something done when he thought it ought to be done. When I watched him screaming about all these cars that weren't fixed, well, as a boss, where the hell were you? You're the boss. That's your responsibility to make sure they're getting the stuff done. If they're not getting it done, you bring them in, you set them down, and you say, look, XYZ, or you're gone. You don't hide from them and not talk to them and then bitch because nothing got done. And I think that's what he was doing to them. I'm almost certain that was the case. That's why you don't hire your friends, ever. Ever. I want you to listen to me. If you ever get in business for yourself, do not hire a friend. And don't work for a friend. Don't do it. So, but I said to Deerdorf 3 years ago, they'll do it with you. They'll do it to you. I told Captain Kirk, they'll do it with you. They'll do it to you. I told those two cucks down there in Burlington, Kentucky, the Swartzes, the biggest crack squad piece of shits there were. If they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you. And oh my God, what has happened now? I said the same thing to Adam Calhoun. So human behavior is predictable. People addicted to opiates are predictable. They all act the same way. That drug has the same effect on everybody. Upchurch is going to act no different, addicted to opioids, than some dude off the street. Comes with rage, isolation, paranoia, all of that. So, listen. Hold on a second. You gotta highlight these kind of people. What part's not true? It ain't got nothing to do with being wise or smart. It's just got to do with just plain old everyday common knowledge, common sense. When someone's got pupils the size of dinner plates, every time you see them, and they're talking mad, ridiculous, wild nonsense that defies logic, it's a fairly easy prediction for anybody with an IQ above a 2 to make. You don't have to be smart or wise. You just got to have your eyes open. I mean, this is what I mean. Why are you willfully stupid about this? Because that's what you are. You're willfully stupid. I could tell you if somebody's addicted to opioids after I spent 15 minutes with them at any given time, any place, anywhere, anytime, and I'll guarantee I'll be dead nuts accurate. Because it has a very common side effect that affects everyone that takes it. It's got nothing to do with knowing anything and everything to do with using the brain you were born with, and to not be willfully stupid. And if you think Upchurch hadn't whacked out of his gourd with a rage and addiction, then you're just being willfully stupid. I mean, it's blatant at this point, just absolutely blatant. It was blatant 3 years ago when he broke his headphones screaming that the police station was fake. And then couldn't understand why he couldn't see this new community center on Google satellite images, looking at a 10-year-old image, and the community center was just built a year ago. And he didn't have sense enough to know that. He's got himself believing that the community center's fake and the police station's fake and all the volunteers are fake and the ambulances are fake and the police are fake because the girl's fake. And that's opiates, son. It's drugs make you do that. Then it wasn't just his family. It wasn't just her family trying to scam GoFundMe for some chump change, risking years in prison for some chump change. Next thing you know, then Adventures with Purpose was in on it, and then it never stopped. And then the Forestry Service, out of sheer luck, realizes, hey, wait a minute, I wonder if our fire tower camera was in rotation that day, because it rotates. And lo and behold, they literally had video of her driving the car in the water, and he still tried to turn that into, they brought the car back and put it in the water and then edited the fire tower. I mean, just nonsense, pure nonsense. And he's being sued over it right now, as we speak. It's going on. And they're going to clean his ass out. He's offered them cash settlements. They said no. So you can quit believing the lies that he vlogs about his whole life. He doesn't. He vlogs about what he wants you to hear, or he vlogs to weaponize small-minded people like you. He vlogs to weaponize his fan base against anybody he has a beef with. And you small-minded creatures fall for it time and time and time and time and time again. Now Jelly Roll is trying to kill him. Because Jelly Roll's jealous of him. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. Jelly Roll is 100 times bigger than Upchurch will ever be. He will be 100 times more wealthy than Upchurch will ever be, and he will be respected 100 million times more than Upchurch will ever be respected. There's no jealousy coming from Jelly Roll towards Upchurch. It's only concern and pathetic. And when they showed up at his house, they weren't there to do anything but other than to check on him and say, dude, get some help. He smears Chase Matthew because he takes a sentence out of context and that was a compliment and tries to turn it into a negative. He does the same thing with Jelly Roll. Takes something completely out of context and decided that it meant something that it didn't. And only he came to that premonition. Nobody else had that premonition, just him. Same thing with the Chase Matthews. You know, the kids asked a simple question. How do you think Ryan feels about you signing, a record deal with Mainstream? Well, my contract with Ryan was up, and I think that he would support me no matter what I do. That was some huge dig. Ryan turned that into Chase saying that he supported Mainstream and had some big meltdown, started smearing the kid. And then tried to get him canceled through guilt by association while he's doing collabs with a convicted pedo. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. Adam Calhoun was a ride or die. There were no diss tracks. So I don't know. It's just people like you, buddy, willfully ignorant. And I suspect you'll be willfully ignorant your whole life, and you'll never accomplish anything. You'll never do anything. You'll never have anything because you choose to remain willfully ignorant. You can like someone's music and not like what they do. You can be someone's friend and not like the things that they are doing. You can do those two things at the same time. You don't have to be 100% all in. I mean, the stuff coming out of Ryan's mouth every other day is just crazy talk. Pure crazy talk. In your wildest, just most far-fetched daydream, what would Jelly Roll have to gain by deleting a Ryan Upchurch? What the fuck? Jesus, God. Other than risking going back to prison and losing everything he's got. It's just stupid. And I hope Dear Dwarf and I hope Cousin Billy learned a valuable lesson. If they will do it with you, they will do it to you. It speaks to their character. If you're with someone and you go to a party and they steal something, let's say you're with your buddy, you go to a party and you leave and you say, hey, check this out, motherfucker, man. Nobody was looking. I went in to use the bathroom. I pulled open their jewelry box. Check out this fucking gold watch. Do you think you ought to stay friends with that person? Celebrate the watch, go with them to go pawn it and go partying on the money they got from it? Because I can tell you what, they're going to steal from you when you're not looking. Because a person that steals, steals. So when you got somebody that's weaponizing their fan base against somebody that they got a problem with, you're next. You're next. If they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you. And no. Oh, Lord, there's never been a Charlie Kirk N-word video ever in the history of humanity that he's never in his life ever done that. Just shut up. Good God. Whew. So, all I got to say to Rusty Truck, told you so, you small-minded idiot. Told you so 3 fucking years ago. And your dopey ass kid who sat on a podcast and slandered a grieving family and an innocent 16-year-old girl, your son's a piece of shit. And he'll always be a piece of shit because he was raised by a piece of shit. You. I would never support my child doing anything like that. That's the difference between me and you, Mr. One-Upper. Been there, done it all, better than everybody. Everything. You're even a master auto mechanic, even though you ain't ever earned 10 cents fixing anything. You're a loser just like your son. You'll never, the only people you'll impress is little circle jerk you lie to. The only thing I regret is not taking the time to do to you what you did to me. But you just weren't worth my time. So for that, that's all I got to say about that. Told you so, every one of you. My prediction is Beth is next. Anybody want to make a wager on it? Who wants to make a wager that Beth is next? Come on. Who wants to put some money up? Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Artifacts. Listen. What's everything? Sorry, but I got 3 years of predictions that came perfectly in line, just like I said they would. If you think that means I know everything, then go for it, dude. It's just plain old everyday common sense that anybody with an IQ above a 2 would be able to do. Because I'm not willfully stupid. And if you're still supporting Upchurch and the fucking horrid behavior he's been engaged in the last 2 years, then you're willfully stupid. That's all. You're just a willfully stupid individual with an extremely low IQ. That's not my fault. That's you. That's on you. You can like someone's music and not care for their damn behavior. And his behavior has been horrid. It is hella wrong for anybody with a huge amount of social media influence to start slandering somebody who has no means of fighting back. It's just a very cowardly thing to do. And I don't care how good your music is. It's just a shitty thing to do to people. And he's had a beef with how many people now over the last 2 years? What's the last count? It's like almost like 30. It's almost like 30 people. You really think all 30 of those people was the problem? If you do, you are an extremely low IQ individual that is willfully ignorant. Oh, okay. Ridge says he was talking about Rusty Truck. Okay, good. I thought you were talking about me. I'm not the one running around claiming to know everything. I just use common sense. You don't want me to hear me claiming to be the best at everything. World champion 3 times over. Takes a lot of talent to overdrive a bass speaker for no reason. Just absolute childishness. I mean, a child, that's childish. It's like immature childishness. Let's make the bass so loud you can't even tolerate it. And you can't hear nothing but that. It's just silly. World champion from a strip mall with 6 people there. Jesus Christ. Oh. Mr. Big Investigator, that son of yours. Boy, he cracked that case, didn't he? That brilliant child of yours. Huh, Rusty? He's so smart. You proud of the shit he said on that podcast? Are you proud of the shit he said about the Kelly Ross? You proud of that? You proud of him doxing her? You proud of him doxing Xaname's mom? All the stuff he said about Xaname? You proud of that shit? You proud of all the simping you did for Upchurch? All the hours you put in trying to slander me, smear me, doctoring medical records, doctoring police reports, lying through your goddamn teeth, calling and pestering the hell out of the police in 2 different counties with nothing but fucking lies. You proud of that shit? And now you're saying the exact same thing I was saying 3 years ago. You look like an idiot now. An absolute idiot. You've made a tremendous fool of yourself. And the other stupid recluse shut-in who is so desperate to be me that he's spending his every waking moment on an outdated operating system that really isn't necessary anymore unless you have some commercial intent for it. Just absolute loser. Sit and hold some guy up telling you he sold 450 used motorcycles in a year from a town with fucking population of 2,500 people. Jesus Christ. I'm so glad to watch you guys just make absolute utter fools of yourselves. All that hatred and vitriol towards me. Now only to find out I was 100% right. And you'd only look like a fool to deny it now. Every fucking word I said was spot on. Your son, Rusty Truck, your son, sat on a podcast with Ryan Upchurch with a notepad insinuating that Kylie Ross's or Kylie Rodney's family lied about having a child so that they could scam like $5,000 from GoFundMe. And in order to pull that scam off, your son, Rusty Truck, your dopey ass kid with a notepad claimed there were about 200 other people in on it that were going to split the $5,000 for a GoFundMe that they didn't even have access to. You both should be so damn embarrassed that you don't even show your face on social media anymore. I would be. I'd be so damned ashamed if I made that big of a fool out of myself, defending such stupidity. Because what you should have done was chewed your son's ass and told him to never do anything that stupid again. And you guys are so damn lucky that the Rodney family didn't include you in the lawsuit, because there were many conversations that looked like that might happen. You're lucky. And you owe me a fucking apology, buddy. Anyway, that's about it on that. So what have you guys been up to? Let's check some. Good to see everybody. Just reading some comments here. Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of hypocrites. Can't even admit, boy, PBR was right. Wow. You ain't even man enough to say that. Brian says, yeah, it smells of AI. Yeah, I agree that those texts smell of AI. No question. Go try it yourself. Have AI say, story of text between two gay lovers after one of them, put the criteria in there and watch what AI writes for you. It'll have words like vehicle and outfit and, these proper terms. That's how you can detect when something's AI. The personality, the contextual personality is missing. So yeah, listen. Nobody ever believed that fiction fairy tale, dude. So quit beating the dead horse. I gave you guys the opportunity to prove it, and you hid. You hid when the day come to prove it on a live stream. It just goes to show, man. It's just like no integrity. You aren't even ashamed of being stupid. Aren't even ashamed of being stupid. Yeah, I agree with John Cook. So how's it going, John? Yeah, I know, man. That's the other problem with the whole social media. And that always been. That's something we'll never be able to fix because, it's wired into the system. But people will say things in text that they would never say to someone's face, or, it's they're shielded by that keyboard. So they just say the most bombastic shit that they would never say to someone's face. Or more specifically, they think out loud through the keyboard, where if they were in person, they may have those thoughts, but they'd never say them. But on the internet, they just type it right out, and no consequences. So that's always going to be a problem. And I guess people are entitled to their opinion, but we certainly need to do something with the fake news, and the lies that are being fed to the younger generation constantly by Democrats. Something has to be done. When you see, I mean, if any prominent Democrat was assassinated, I wouldn't cheer and dance. I'd feel sad for the country. I'd feel sad for everybody involved. When you look at it, it wasn't just, Charlie Kirk's family was destroyed, but almost as equally, Tyler Robinson's family was destroyed. His family will never be the same. He's going to prison for life. He'll likely get the death penalty. They will probably have to move. I mean, it's just their life's going to be really tough moving forward. He really put his family in a bad position. And so when you see so many, I mean, if it was just a few, you'd think, yeah, there's a nut in every batch. But man, there was so many people like celebrating and cackling like cartoon demons over a really horrific thing. And that should really be an eye-opener for a lot of people. It should really be an eye-opener. I try to think, there's no way I would have ever made a video laughing and cackling because Nancy Pelosi or Hassan Piker or Destiny was assassinated on a live stream right in front of their kids. There's no way I could ever cheer to that. So it shows that these kids have been extremely radicalized. I mean, extremely radicalized. Yeah, it was Antifa for sure. I mean, I suspect everybody that was in that Discord group knew about it ahead of time. The thing that is absurd, okay, is to think that they already know there were 5 people that they know of that said things like, big news tomorrow, you'll know it when you see it. Well, you think that person's psychic? You think they're psychic? And there are similar posts from 3 or 4 people that they've confirmed. So those people knew about it ahead of time, right? So yeah, of course, we're going to find out that whole little Antifa sect there was involved. However many of them it is, I don't know. But you're going to find out that, there was a whole group of them that planned it. They had a meeting a month before. The neighbor reported all of them being there and acting weird. And I would bet you that if they went and got like door cam videos, security cam videos, traffic cams, everything they could get from a month ago, I'll bet you the whole group of them went over there to that college and walked that all out and shit. What do you want to bet they did? So yeah, we're going to find out that whole bunch was in on it. But as far as there being some other shooter in Israel, come on. No. Tyler Robinson was the one that did it. And if you got any doubts about him having a gun, go watch Gary Hughes's videos. Just go watch them and you'll see he shows the gun. You can see it. And then Secondly, go watch the body language guy shred the dude that cheered and the kid that asked the question. And yeah, you'll see real quick they were lying. So yeah, I hear you, John. That's been such a circle jerk. That guy's lost, what the hell's Jeremy Hales. He's lost so much credibility, dude. Don't kid yourself. That's it's what's funny is there's another storage unit seller, treasure hunting with Jeebus, who started around the same time that What the Hell started. Now, and you may or may not know this, but What the Hell's, I saw him long before he was a YouTuber. We would be at the same storage unit sales. I'd see him all the time. He lived right in this area. And many times he was at storage unit sales I was at. And that's why I started following his YouTube channel when he got that. That son of a gun, Jeebus, Treasure Hunting with Jeebus, has now passed him in subscribers. And I know that's probably eating at him because he always talked down to Jeebus like he was the one teaching Jeebus how it was done. Well, Jeebus has character and integrity and doesn't lie and doesn't stage storage units and all this crap. And the problem with What the Hell's is he got money drunk. And so now he's got such a need, he desperately needs that YouTube income. So he has to do this bad neighbor videos because they get more views than the storage unit video. The storage unit videos were extremely popular during the lockdown. People were trapped in the house and they watched those. And that's when What the Hell's subscriber count really shot up, and so did everybody else's. But once that was over, that sort of started to, lose its acceleration and not so many people watching that. But bad neighbor videos always do well. And that's why he's doing what he does to you. Period. It's for views. Everybody knows it. And he'll pay a bigger price in the long run. You just know that, John. He'll probably end up having to file bankruptcy because he's not going to be able to maintain the income it takes to pay for the things he's got his feet in. And you're going to see him start selling stuff and everything else because he's not getting near the views he used to get. And he's not getting the revenue ad streams that he used to get. So there's a price to pay. I would say, Ridge, that yes, you bring a few of them guys in and threaten them with a long jail sentence. Yeah, they'll probably fold. But the premonition, the want, the wherewithal's got to be there for them to do it. They got to want to do it. And I hope, and I feel like the FBI's all over it. I feel like we're going to see more arrests in coming days. And I feel like we're going to know more in coming days. Now, if the only person that gets arrested in this deal is Tyler Robinson, I'm going to be extremely disappointed in the Trump administration and the current FBI. Because he was not alone. Those guys all knew. We've confirmed 4 or 5 people that made tremendous prediction that something big was going to happen. Like they were psychics. Well, we all know they weren't psychics. They knew it was going to happen. Surprisingly, everyone that said that is LGBTQ. What are the chances of that? So hopefully the FBI gets the backups from Discord. Hopefully, they bring some of these people in. Hopefully, they've tried to get video of all these cars without state plates that were there, and maybe get their hands on some license plates, and this all these things. So, and somebody in the live stream today debunked one of the silly conspiracies that even I was having questions over. So I learned something today, right? And Heavy Duty Country did a video about it today too, about the gun having a flashlight on it in the middle of the day, the gun being in a box. And I'm thinking, okay, either that's a stock photo or something weird's going on here. Well, it's a stock photo, we learned. So there's no conspiracy there, Heavy Duty. Sorry. That's not his gun they took a picture of. That's a stock photo. I assumed it may be that. I'm glad that was confirmed. No, okay. This is another one. This one really frustrates me a lot, because if you watch, and he says, hey, PBR, do you think it's true the security were giving hand signals like they saw something and didn't throw Charlie's gun? No, not at all. That guy that everybody's talking about, if you go back and you watch Charlie's videos, that one particular security guy's been with him for a long, long time. And his mannerisms are indicative of that. He's always adjusting his sleeves. He's always looking at his watch. It's just something he does. It's like a nervous tick. We all have them, and that's his. There was nothing to that. Nothing at all. It's just, if I've seen a couple different clips where he was doing this, and looking at his watch, and just something the guy does when he's standing there. So no, there's nothing going on there. He was with Charlie for a long time. And, and like I say, the nonsense about it being some trained shooter to make that shot. No. If you've ever shot a scope rifle, you'll know that's not a hard shot. Just didn't. Now you get to 300 yards. Yeah, we're talking, you got to anticipate drop and all that. But just to hit a target with a scope, nah, not hard at all. So that conspiracy's debunked. And okay, let's say for the sake of argument that Candace Owens' wild conspiracy about Israel's correct. How would Israel get this young kid to do this and be the patsy? How would Israel be able to pull that off in a month? Because they just had this meeting supposedly a month ago where everything went, that there was tension. So let's say she's right and it was Israel. How in the world would they have gotten some furry and his gay boyfriend to do it? Come on, Candace. Good grief. I believe that donors that were, all in with Israel were probably pressuring him. No question. I believe that Netanyahu would like nothing more than for every young person to believe that Charlie was 100% all in. I believe that. Absolutely. Do I believe they somehow convinced a furry and his gay boyfriend to destroy their lives? Why would this kid be willing to ruin his life for Netanyahu that he's never met, never talked to? Come on, Candace. Do better. Do better. Yes, we get it. He was under pressure. Yes, we get it. Donors can be, can blackmail and threaten and all that. We get it. That goes with any political group. But I find it hard to believe that Israel could have convinced, of all people, a gay guy and his furry boyfriend to do this. How would Israel know this kid's grandpa gave him a rifle? And it's confirmed, the grandpa texting, bitching about the rifle, whatever. When, like, Heavy Duty made that video today, oh, that's not a very unique rifle. Well, that's not his rifle. That's just a common 30-06 with a scoop. You've never seen a picture of this kid's actual rifle. That was a stock photo. I suspect there is something very unique about that gun, and that's why it was handed down as an heirloom. Anyway, appreciate you tuning in, John. Yep. Hope everything's going better too. Why do they do a lot of things? Why do they do a lot of things? I mean, the reason why we are so supportive of Israel is because they are the only democracy in the Middle East. And it's the Bible land. So there's all that underlyingness. It's not unusual for Congress people to have a dual citizenship, especially with ally countries. I mean, that happens quite a bit, actually. There's nothing unusual about that. Some of them become ambassadors when they leave the Congress. Many do, in fact. It's not unusual. But, just to be clear, I do believe that Charlie was being pressured by donors like any other political group would be. I believe that. I believe that, they made blackmail threats about donor money. I'm sure. I believe they probably offered him money that he turned down. I believe that. Do I believe that they then, in short order, found some gay couple to go do this? No, I don't. I believe that this was a planned thing by an Antifa sect, and maybe they were going to get paid. Maybe someone offered them money to do it. That's very possible. But I go back to what I said earlier. When you say, well, why would this young kid with a bright future ahead of him throw it all away? Well, you would do that for a couple of reasons, right? One, maybe you would do it because you were offered a big windfall cash. You would also do it if you believed all the lies you've been told about Charlie Kirk. If you believed all that stuff, if you really believed he was a Nazi, and you really believed he said stone all gay people, and you really believed he said black people aren't smart enough to fly ever. If you believed he said all those things, then you could very easily be radicalized into doing something like this. So, but I think we're going to find out it was an Antifa sect. We're going to find out that all those people that came to his apartment a month before were there to plan that out. We're going to find out the old guy, the guy that asked the question, the dude that stood up and cheered, and the roommate, and all of them, they all knew ahead of time. And hopefully some of them get arrested. So with that, I'm going to get the heck off of here. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. It's really good to see some of you guys. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. I agree. You know, it's like, why wouldn't you at least fly a drone around and, you know, I mean, I think that would put an end to any possibility of a rooftop shooter if you just had drones in the air. Your security should have drones, but I don't know. I mean, hindsight's always 2020. You know, why didn't the quarterback throw it to the other guy? Why did he throw it to this guy? I mean, I don't know. So, well, you know, here's the problem again. And I meant to say this earlier when I was, Icy Orb says, how about Dagburn and Ryan's newfound friendship? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I started to say I was very disappointed in Deerdorf and Cousin Billy when Ripta was the first person on the inside to come forward and say, dude's on drugs, treating people like shit. And Deerdorf and Billy both made videos defending Ryan against the things that Ripta was saying, even though they knew what Ripta was saying was true. So there's a little bit of karma there. A little bit of karma. Because if you believe everything that Deerdorf says, and you believe everything that Cousin Billy says, and I do, then you must believe what Ripta said. So why did they quickly come out and defend Ryan against Ripta and talk trash at Ripta? Well, blind loyalty. But that comes with consequences. If they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you. So I was really disappointed on them, and what's going to find out is what Dagburn's going to find out is, you know, honestly, if he can get a couple fistful of money from him, hey, good for him, man. If he can manipulate a drug addict to give him a bunch of money, good for him. Is all I got to say. But he's got no credibility with me anymore. Zero integrity, zero credibility. And I want you to know that, Dagburn. You've lost all credibility. You sold your integrity completely. So you just don't have any. Your word is mud. Nobody can ever take you serious anymore. I find it laughable that you and Patty both are out here talking trash to people who still believe the things that Ryan said about his mother. Ryan told his fans all kinds of horrid shit about his mom and told him to pee on her grave. And he has never walked that back. And just because you suddenly decided to pretend like that never happened, you can't expect everybody else to do that. So there's a great number of his very, very loyal fan base that still believe what he said about his mom because he's never said no different. He's never said, hey, I was wrong. She didn't do that. He never did that. So what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Well, you're simping to see, because, you know, you might get something from Ryan. So you sold your integrity and your credibility. That's what you did, dude. I'm sorry. You know full well the shit Ryan has done to all these people over the last 2 years is pure bullshit. And the things he's encouraged his fans to do, because they did it to you. And now you're defending that shit. Dude, you're an empty shell, man. You got to do some soul searching. I think you need to go to church. Because once your credibility's gone, you're never going to get it back. You know damn well Deerdorf is probably telling the truth. You know damn well Cousin Billy's probably telling the truth. You know damn well Rip is probably telling the truth. You know damn well Patty was probably telling the truth when she said Ryan had an explosive temper and had everybody scared to death. Now you want to pretend like none of it happened, and if anybody says it did, well, then they're a piece of shit. Screw you, dude. Stay away from me, man. I want nothing to do with somebody like that. I felt sorry for you because they did the same shit to you they did to me. But now that I see you're willing to just pretend like none of that happened because Ryan gave you a shout out, dude, wow. Sorry. I can't run with that, man. That's just really, that's low class stuff, dude. Really extremely low class. So anyway, appreciate y'all tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Hang in there, guys. Hopefully it's going to get better. Don't believe all these rabbit hole conspiracies. Use your head, use common sense. Always ask, but why would they do that? Catch you later.